Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in to this special edition of Off the Record, dealing with a very serious yet sensitive subject matter. And I have some great subject matter expertise who are going to come in and inform us on this subject. We're Facebook Live with Dr. Victer Muhammad, Brother Eric Ahad Muhammad, and we're waiting for Dr. Patrice Muhammad, who is en route, but she will be on shortly as well. Alaikum salam, Miriam. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you all for watching as we deal with this. The first subject, the first thing I want to do is ask Brother Victer, then Brother Eric. Brother Victer, how did you become involved with this project?
Wow. First, let me let me introduce myself so that the people will understand why maybe I'm qualified to say what we might say during this interview.
Mm.
I was trained in the collegiate environment as an agricultural scientist. Then in 1990, I became involved in biomedical research and have been involved in biomedical research for the last 31 years.
Mm.
And Minister Louis Farrakhan heard about an HIV AIDS drug in 1989 that was being used in Nairobi, Kenya by a Black Kenyan medical doctor named Dr. David Koech. And during this time, he sent Dr. Abdul Wali Muhammad, Dr. Barbara Justice, and I think a few other clinicians out of the DC area to Kenya to check to see if this claim that this doctor in Kenya was making was true. And so in 1991, it was reported that the findings were actually true. In 1994, November, I was working as a scientist at Howard University School of Medicine and Cancer Center. I received a telephone call in the lab one day from Dr. Muhammad, and he informed me that I believe USDA, FDA, I'm sorry, had confiscated the lozenges that were being shipped to him to treat the AIDS patients in Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, and New York, and that the patients were suffering because they could not get the lozenges being sent from Kenya. And he asked me if I could do anything to help. And I told him, brother, I don't know. But long story short, because I know time is a factor, I was able and blessed to make a liquid version of the pills that Dr. Muhammad and other doctors were using. And from November 1994 to August 2002, we supplied Dr. Muhammad and the other doctors in those 5 other cities with the liquid version of the supplement. And that's how I got involved in it. And that's a very brief synopsis, but I think it lays a foundation for the discussion that we'll have today.
Wonderful. Excellent. And Brother Eric, what about you, sir? How did you become involved?
Well, for years I was dealing in sports medicine. And the sports medicine took me to where I came concerned with what we suffer from as Black people. So the hypertension, the diabetes, the heart disease, and all of those type of things. So as I went on with that, I began to just study health more and more and more, and more people began to ask me. And I started Nature's Seed, which is a supplement. A year ago, I became in contact with Brother Victer Muhammad, another Muslim brother, and understood what he had been doing for the last 31 years of his life. Now, we have partnered, and I'm trying to help. Well, I am not trying. I am helping Brother Victor go forward with getting this information out to people, getting this supplement out to those in our community who can benefit from it. But knowledge is key here, because most of us don't know that there's something that we can benefit from. And until that is understood, nobody will be looking for the answers to their prayers to come through a man like Brother Victor Muhammad. But the answer is here. What is missing is the knowledge that he has. So that's how I became. I don't know if you can see me. I see Brother Victor's picture.
No, yes, I can see, Brother Eric. I can see. Okay, wonderful. Brother Victor, while we were waiting for Sister Dr. Patrice, because, you know, we were doing 3, but she's on the way. Why are you so passionate about this venture?
Well, I think that the best way to explain it is when I was in Baltimore at one of the research institutions where I did research, I was at the medical school. And one day, my lab chief said to me out of the blue, he said, "So, Victor, when do you start your business?" And I looked at him because he caught me by surprise. I did not know that he knew I wanted to start a business. I do have a science background, but I used to say that I am a businessman who happens to have a science background. But in the last few years, I've realized that I'm not a businessman as much as I am a humanitarian. And the business component of the humanitarian who I am is to understand that you cannot help people without having money. And every organization that is worth its weight in dog food has to have a financial component or a financial instrument so that it can fund the activities that that organization or that entity believes in or support. So there's no way that I'm going to spend my life doing something and I'm not serious about it. So if I'm going to do something, everything that I do, it has 2 components or 2 degrees. It's either 0% or 100. There is no in between with me with anything. I'm either in it 100% or I don't touch it. So everything that I do, I approach it with the same amount of passion, or I don't do it at all. So this is something that I can see the benefit, because this is something that I've been doing for 30 years now. So I see the benefit in it. And it is, one could argue that it's a shame that it has taken 30 years for this process to reach just this far. You know, who would have thought it would take 30 years for people to understand that a Black man in America can produce something good other than a basketball shot.
Mm. Yes, sir. Well, and thank you for your work, and thank you all. Thank you, Naima, and thank you, Brother Ian F. Muhammad. You know, says ASA Brother Victor. He says he's from house number 4. Thank everybody who's watching, who shows love consistently. Brother Eric, what when you reached out, when I reached out to you and you were telling me some of the things about some of the, as far as like testimony and statistics dealing with this, how can we make that break that down in simple terms for people who may not understand even how to pronounce the word or pronounce exactly what it is?
Well, the supplement is a natural occurring substance, protein. People live with it every day. It's really science, the brother is called me. So everything that I'm giving to you is because of my association with Brother Victor. However, many of us don't understand that our bodies are constantly under attack. If I were to tell you that 85% of the people had the herpes virus in their body, they wouldn't believe it. But if they all went and took a test because they tested for a similar virus that determined that, they would come back positive. That's why you find some people who have chickenpox, depending on how their immune system is compromised. So this society is a virus that tends to want to make sure that everybody is attacked. That's why you have so many, brother. There's 100 different autoimmune diseases. These people who have arthritis, lupus, myasthenia gravis, fibromyalgia, herpes, HIV, amongst just a few. Go to the doctor and they say, well, they have no answers. But there are answers, and Brother Victer will elaborate in just a few minutes, hopefully, that there's been answers for a very long time. But it's not that the answer exists, nor that you have the issue. It's do you have access to the answer? And because of our lack of knowledge of what's going on in the world, and really just our blatant rebellion to what we've been given from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, most of the believers that you find in the nation now that are growing old are dying from the same diseases of anybody that's not in the nation. It's supposed to be a better diet, it's supposed to be a longer life. We're supposed to be in contact with that. But somebody is making sure that that life is shortened, and those who have money have access. We pay the most for health care in the world, and we have the worst health care in the world. So now we have a man like Brother Victer Muhammad, who is qualified to tell any doctor the diagnosis which they don't understand. But the problem is that when you've been taught from a Western perspective, and this is in the house or outside of the house, you really want to lean on what you've been given more than what God has given us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to say this point, and I'm going to close it. We must remember, Allah guided the minister to send Dr. Arlene and Barbara Justin and Brother Wali to Kenya to get this for Black people in America. How you doing there, Sister Patrice? Good to see you. And he did that. Now, what's happened over the last 30 years is on us. And now we're the worst place health-wise than we were 30 years ago because of our own rebellion and our own lack of support for what God has given us. We'll spend $500 on a baseball ticket or a basketball ticket or $1,000 on the Gators. Got Jay-Z, who just became a billionaire. They could put this thing over tomorrow. But you won't. You'll find him like Nick Cannon today, bowing out because somebody threatened his life, so he's going to can the Sabi documentary. So, brother, that's the time that we live in. We live in a time where the Black man is really an African American. He's not a Black man because he's not willing to stand up for his own people to get to what he needs to get to, because life is the most important thing. And please excuse my passion, but that's where I am.
Excellent, and thank you very much, Brother Eric. Thank you for your thank you, Mimi, and thank you, Sister Naima. I'm coming to your question, Naima. Sister Patrice, assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for joining us, Sister Patrice. Now that you're here, can I ask you, how did you become involved with the project?
Well, I became involved after I was contacted by Brother Sultan Muhammad, who is part of Minister Farrakhan's E-team. He contacted me and put me in touch with Brother Eric. And of course, he had known that I had some experience with the use of the product for many years. And I thought that it would be a brilliant idea for us to come together as a team and get the information to our people and actually all of humanity, because it definitely is a humanitarian effort. There's no one individual, although Brother Dr. Victer is the person who has manufactured it and knows knows this product and other products inside and out. So that's how I got involved. I basically was contacted by Brother Sultan and put in touch with my brothers.
Excellent. And thank you very much for being a part of this. Brother Victor, I want to come to your question, Amy, and I'm coming to yours maybe as well. How can we do our part and get our people to this medicine in our local cities?
Well, that's a good question. And first of all, this is not characterized as a medication. This is characterized as a dietary or nutritional supplement. In order for it to be characterized as a medication, we would have to spend about $30 million and 10 years or more going through the Food and Drug Administration to get approval. And we don't have the time for that, and we don't think that it's necessary to do so. And the best way to make it known to the people is by doing what we're doing instantly, by simply doing programs that advertise it and promote it and let the people know that it's available. So anyone who's interested can contact Sister Patrice or Brother Eric. They can give their contact information at some point, but they can contact either of them, and this would be the first step in accessing the product.
Wonderful. And thank you very much. And thank you for your question. My sister Miriam says, do you think that the FDA will ever approve an HIV/AIDS cure?
When I was being trained as a patent examiner at the United States Patent and Trademark Office, we spent 6 weeks of training, learning law and learning how to prosecute a patent application. There were two things that we were taught in patent examining, that if you ever received an application for 2 patents, you automatically object to them and deny the application. One of those was a perpetual time motion machine. The other was a cure for AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And so that tells you a lot if your eyes are open and your ears are open. Around 1992, I believe Health and Human Services of the United States of America was allocating $500 million a year just for HIV/AIDS research. Now, how many jobs are generated with $500 million a year? So if we came up with a cure this afternoon, how many people would be out of a job? Each year, the research institutions around this country and around the Western world, that includes Europe, Canada, United States, and Australia, New Zealand. These are nations that spend maybe as much as $1 trillion a year on HIV/AIDS research. Again, how many jobs and how much commerce is generated when each year you have to buy new computers in your lab because all you have to say is it's outdated. And that justifies you being able to spend a lot of money to get new computers. And if your brother-in-law owns the computer business, then then it becomes clear. So I think that just answered your question.
Excellent. And thank you very much for answering my question, sir. And thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for watching. This podcast is brought to you by ABC I Love Me, my sister's book, my brother Politically Oppressed shirts, and my second book, which is a children's book, Cleopatra. You can get that on Amazon. Sister Patrice,
Yes.
with Dr. Patrice, are there any testimonies or statistics that stuck out with you that made you really want to latch on to the project?
Well, I can't emphasize it enough that it was my personal experience with the supplement that made me immediately sign on. I have wondered a long time what happened to Brother Victer, and because he has made such a tremendous mark on history, in my opinion, due to the HIV positive patients who serodeconverted, which means they were negative before they were infected. They were infected, causing them to be seropositive for HIV. And after being treated with the supplement, they deconverted. They went back to the HIV negative status. I do know that there are some claims that has happened, and they may be very well valid claims. But I'm familiar with what I saw, what I witnessed, and even those that may not have serodeconverted, which at that time it was maybe 8 or 9. But even though there may be those who did not serodeconvert, they definitely made a remarkable clinic recovery. And what I mean by that is, if a person had become HIV positive, they were, a lot of times they have massive weight loss, appetite is very poor, their health condition, they have an accelerated clinical degradation of their health. And so they may have what most people may know is called Patrice sarcoma, which is a skin cancer. Basically, lymphoma is another one, and I can go on and on. Those conditions were made remarkably better, or they regressed those horrible effects of HIV and caused them to flourish, caused them to come forward more healthy, gaining weight, having a wonderful appetite, having a good quality and quantity of life. And for men, and I didn't know this until actually recently, men had an increased libido that did not occur with women. I thought it was across the board. When I was seeing patients in Washington, D.C. with Dr. Leem, I thought that that was across the board, that some people had that, but it's mainly in men. So the two main side effects, we call them, if you can call them side effects, because side effects, the words side effects, they connotate a very negative effect of a substance that you take. But the two side effects, quote unquote, that were witnessed were increased appetite and increased libido. So, so I know that this works. There is no doubt in my mind. I'm 200% behind this. So much so that I've already started some very seriously ill patients on it. I'm taking it myself every day. I have given it to both my mother and father for certain things that I'm looking to hopefully reverse in them. So I am on board for the long haul, and I am on board to bring this to humanity, because it definitely is a saving grace for those who have been afflicted with a multitude of illness and disease.
Excellent. Thank you all for your work once again, and thank you all for your comments. Sister Teresa, thank you for watching as usual, and I'm going to come right to your question. I have another question. What, maybe Brother Victer, you could assist me with this. What diseases, okay, when people hear HIV or AIDS, most people gonna say, well, I don't have HIV, I don't have AIDS. What are some of the other diseases that this can assist in healing, that can hit home quicker than people who may not be aware or may not want to deal with HIV and AIDS?
The common cold, the flu, hepatitis A, B, C, herpes, simplex 1, 2, 3, 6. Back in the early 2000s, I was doing human herpes 6 research. And we found that in, I think it's about 100% of all cadavers, that means dead bodies, who were tested for human herpes 6. 100% of them tested positive for human herpes 6. So this is a virus. Also, lupus. We've tested it in people with lupus, multiple sclerosis. We've inadvertently found out that it works very effectively on arthritis, different forms of edema, on fibroid and ovarian cysts, which, well, fibroid cysts. We have tested it. Well, we've given it, allowed people who had uh, uh, breast and cervical cancer to take it, and it's proven to have some effect. Unfortunately, in the Black community, particularly among the African American male, we generally won't go to the doctor until our head or our ears start falling off.
Yes,
And generally, you know, it's sometimes it's not very much that could be done at that time. Now, I don't necessarily fault Black men for that because I understand the reason for it. Uh, you know, we don't have a good history of trust of having a relationship with doctors. So I understand it, and I'm very careful about telling anybody to go to a doctor. I'm sorry, I am. But but there are many such diseases that have where this product has been tested and found to be effective. And to be honest with you, as of this year, there's nothing on which we've given this product to someone where it has not helped. Nothing. I didn't know that until last year, because prior to last year, we had only tested it or used it in people who had been diagnosed with viral illnesses. But we found last year that it goes beyond viral illnesses, you know, and I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't diagnose anyone. But if someone contact us and they say, well, Mr. Muhammad, I'd like to try this, well, you know, that's their choice. But, you know, I can't diagnose them with a disease. So that's the way that we've done it up to now.
excellent, and thank you all. So okay, so Teresa says, is the medication affordable?
Can I
I'll
answer
let Brother
that?
Eric address
Oh,
that.
yeah, let Brother Eric address that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is affordable. I mean, you know, daily we go to Starbucks every day and we get a cup of coffee. And we buy a cup of coffee every day because that's our routine. And we spend $7, $6, $5 on a cup of coffee. And if you traded that cup of coffee in for the supplement, you would pay the same amount of money for the supplement every day. That is not an addiction to the caffeine and the sugar and the caramel macchiato, but it actually is setting forth your life for a longer life. What is your life worth? First of all, what does your life mean to you in affordability? I know, you know, with the brothers, I remember, you know, when we were younger, we would go buy some gators and they would be $1,000 to go get them, or we go buy us, you know, a San Remo suit. Now it would be $1,000. But when you tell a man it'll cost him $7 a day to save his life because he is not used to having something that would save his life. He was at $7 a day, bro. And we break it down into just give up your cup of coffee and live. $7 a day is what it costs.
Okay, excellent. And I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you all, our panelists, for coming on. How do we get in contact with you all in order to get it, like something tangible, like a website, a phone number, or email? What is the process?
You can go to websites. I'll give mine and then Sister Patrice give hers. You go to www.natures with an S dash V as in Victer.com. So that's natures with an S dash V.com. And Sister Patrice?
Yes, sir. My website, once we go live with it, because I opened up my own health center here in Chicago, and we were making it very user-friendly to people to when they logged onto the website. We're allowing them to be able to be extremely interactive with me and my staff, and you can schedule appointments, things of that nature on the website. The website is www.healthatitsbest.net. www.healthatitsbest.net. And also contact information for me if you want to call. I have a phone number to my health center, and you can call 773-234-3319, or you can email at healthatitsbest1@gmail.com.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I wanted to thank you all for watching once again, because this is a very serious topic affecting all illnesses and things that we know or may not know. So I encourage us all to go get checked, and also to support the supplement. Dr. Victer, sir, is there anything else that you would like to say before we leave, sir?
One of the greatest, or perhaps the greatest deficiency in the American culture, and the one that is probably causing the greatest harm, not just to African Americans, but to anyone who lives in America, is the lack of education, lack of proper education. If you want to have a photograph of the mindset of the American people, we will go to the gas station in our Infiniti Q50 or our Lexus, and if someone puts 90 octane in our gas tank, we'll shoot them. If someone accidentally scratch our Ford Explorer, we'll stab them. But we'll take our children to McDonald's and buy the food for them out of McDonald's, and we don't see a problem with that. We will go to Sears and pay $1,200 for a stair climber or a treadmill. Then we go to the mall or the airport and get on the escalator. This is the American people. We go to Burger King and order $7,000 worth of hamburgers and fish sandwiches and apple pies. Then we'll buy a Diet Coke to balance it out. 2 million calories you just consumed, but the Diet Coke is going to balance that out. And now this is rational thinking for us now.
Yes, sir, it is. It is.
You see, now what this is indicative of, is a mindset that lets you know that the people are sick. You see, so sometimes I go to some of the dating websites because I like to read the profiles. And I see where it's very common among the women. I go straight down to the height and the weight. Now, she's 5'3" and weigh 225 pounds. And then a little further down, she'll put large and lovely. Well, there's nothing lovely about that. you know, and uh, I'm not being facetious.
Right.
I'm painting a picture of the American mentality and the condition of the people and the things that we have accepted as normal. And we have convinced ourselves by using language like large and lovely to justify being morbidly obese. But when you leave America, you don't find this. As much as the people eat in Italy, the pasta, the bread, why is it that they're not obese like this? You see. And so these are questions that I would encourage your audience to begin to question themselves and begin to stand in front of a mirror, and be honest and do like Michael Jackson say, look at the man in the mirror and then make a change. And that change comes from educating the people. And so by you doing the show that you're doing right now, bringing people on your show like Sister Patrice and Brother Eric and asking them questions, then getting answers that the people can use. It's sort of like religion. If you stand in a pulpit on a rostrum Sunday after Sunday, you pontificate to the people and you quote scripture, you eloquently quote scripture. But if you don't tell the people how to take scripture and make it relevant in their life today, then this is an exercise in futility.
You want to show up?
And so this is what we have. Sir?
Nothing. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And so this is what we're doing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Sister Dr. Patrice, I'll let you close it out. Brother Eric, would you like to say anything before we leave, sir?
Sister Patrice, did you want to say something?
No, he said that I'll close it out, and I know you had a comment.
I thought you had a comment, Brother Eric.
Okay, I'm sorry. My fault.
Yes, sir.
I would say to your listening audience, brother, that those who care about their life and understand exactly that there is a system in place that is not set up to sustain life. There's a system in place to make you ill, then take you to a place to present to you the idea of getting better, only to ensure you to get even more sick, so you will die. And none of what they're going to give you is going to help you. Every poison that they give you as a pharmaceutical drug has a side effect. The beautiful thing about what Brother Victer has given to us and created, there are no side effects. And it helps mitigate a lot of the things that we're already dealing with. But if we can get past the fact, or come to understand that the man who you pay your insurance money to is not your friend, and the man who's over here trying to give you something to save your life is your friend. And we must begin to support that, like we support going to the movies or going to put our children in soccer class or going to get them some Jordan tennis shoes. If you had a bottle sitting in your house, you could possibly turn back most of what your family is going to be dealing with, or if you have older parents, they're already dealing with. I was in a car crash with a tractor trailer truck. If you look at my forehead, you'll see 2 holes on each side. That's for where my neck was broken 3 places. Brother Victer came and gave me the supplement. This is my own testimony. I could barely walk when I got it because the connective tissue in the mylar of my nerves was not talking to my hamstring. So one leg would move and one leg would drag. And I've been on it now for 6 months, and I'm beginning to get up and get around. And these are things that we did not even know would take place. My legs don't swell up anymore. My joints, I had rheumatoid arthritis where I would just wake up in the middle of the night in pain. None of that. So if we don't take the opportunity for life, then we will lose our life. And all of you are younger people. And I know you look good because you're running around and you don't think anything's affecting you right now. However, remember that which we've come through, the enemy is mastered. So he knows how to do exactly what he's doing now. And he'll make you look like you're doing good for a long time. But as you see, many of us are leaving here at a much more increased rate. And that's even in the house where we're supposed to have long life. So take this seriously. Take what we're giving you seriously, and take that Allah said that he would send you somebody with an answer, as the minister has stated. Brother Victor, Sister Patrice, and myself are trying to present the answer that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us 30 years ago. It is not his fault that it's taken it this long to get it to you, but we're trying to make his word bond. Thank you very much, Brother Joshua.
Thank you, Brother Eric, and thank you for your testimony. Yes, ma'am, Sister Dr. Patrice, if you could say any closing remarks.
Wow. Thank you for that so much, Brother Eric. That's very eloquent, very true, and in a sense, very tragic. And I'd just like to give a personal testimony also very quickly. I've been practicing medicine for 25 years now, and I had gotten a very bad needle stick from a patient who had an extremely high viral load for hepatitis C. For sake of time, I don't have time to explain all of that, what all of that means, but suffice it to say, the viral load being very high increased my chance of getting hepatitis C. I had not been getting the vaccines that they recommend doctors and nurses and people who work in the healthcare field to get. I flatly refused them. However, I had a very serious needle stick injury, and I'm looking for answers. Well, my answer was in the supplement, because at that time I said, okay, let me call, because I know it works. It worked for that, and it works for hepatitis prevention. And so, or hepatitis, I'm going to say hepatitis treatment. They don't make those claims, but I did, because at the time I was practicing medicine in Washington, D.C. with the supplement with patients who had hepatitis, HIV, all types of other viral illnesses, which we have already gone into. I started taking the supplement from Dr. Aleem. He shipped it right away. I started taking the supplement and got retested maybe 2 or 3 months down the line. This happened, back in 2002. And at that point, I never converted to have hepatitis. From that day moving forward, and I'm still hepatitis free. So I have my own personal story too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I'd just like to close by saying, as Brother Eric stated, some of us in this life don't know exactly what our purpose is. Some of us learn early on what our purpose is. The three of us are very clear on what one of our major purposes and missions in life is. We're very clear on that. We don't have any, there's no room for doubt in that assessment of what we're here to do. So with that being said, it would behoove one not to take what we are giving as a solution that we have not had from other sources that I'm aware of. There may be some out there that I'm not aware of, but we have something that's right at our fingertips that has been given through our brother and Dr. Victer. So unfortunately, we don't realize, or we don't know how serious our health is and the attack on our very lives that is going on right now as we speak. And we have the answer for those attacks that we can help solve at our fingertips. So again, as Brother Eric said, we need to take this very seriously and know and be assured that we are under attack, but Allah has given us an answer. So why not take advantage of what the three of us have come together to give our people and to give it openly and freely? That's what I'd like to share and offer.
Wonderful. Wow, that was great. I thank you all for your comments. We're going to make sure we get this on YouTube. I learned a lot. I know that everyone who's watching learned a lot. I thank you all for your expertise, your passion, and your your personal testimonies as well. I look forward to seeing the great results of this and anything that I can do on my podcast. You always have this. It's called Off the Record, but we call it the People's Podcast. So anything that you are doing to help the people, you can always come back and give us whatever else you need. If you have people who want to give personal testimonies or anything else, I'm here to serve you all and to assist you all with freeing our people. So thank you all very much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Brother Joshua. Thank you.
Thank you all. You have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.
You're awesome. Walaikum salam.